XFM News on point.
News on XFM. I'm Chris Tim. Mulago Hospital has started carrying out operational surgeries to separate co-joined twins. Surgeons from Mulago Hospital yesterday managed to separate Siamese twins who were born in December of last year, sharing almost all their body parts. Dr. John Sekabira, who led the exercise, noted that it was so hectic since it took them over 19 hours to complete the operation. He adds that they are still monitoring the babies until they start living a normal life.
But it's not simple surgery, because you have to move slowly the structure, particularly the nerves, because if we injure any nerve, it will be like injuring, like the child will not be able, for example, to walk. So by the time we separated the twins, to put them to separate together, it was at 4 a.m. after starting the surgery at midday. We hope later on, when they grow up, we shall be able to correct all those abnormalities and they will be able to lead a normal life.
The Association of Private Schools Proprietors in Bukanga District have expressed their dissatisfaction over the newly proposed government policy of regulating school fees. The scientific meeting of proprietors that sat recently observed that before the draft policy, all proprietors and stakeholders should have been consulted. The proprietors argue that such policies are aimed at eliminating private education services rather than promoting it. The Publicity Secretary, James Byaruhanga, says they operate on bank loans and regulating their charges will fail their operations.
This is a sensitive matter. The stakeholders, proprietors, other stakeholders should have been brought on board. So it is really terrible. Schools charge fees based on the budget. If you find that you can't run the school without the support of the parent, then you better pull out. So I think we should agree with the government on how to handle. But above all, even the government schools which are getting assistance capitation grant are charging much money. So we wonder how you can tackle private sector, which is dependent on the profits, and you leave out the government.
Kampala Capital City Authority Council has directed its standing committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding the interdiction of some authority staff. The Speaker of the Council, Abubakar Kawalia, says the authority lost over 5 billion shillings in compensation to former staff after terminating their contracts illegally, yet such errors can be avoided. Now, Kawalia says the committee has only 2 weeks to submit the report to the Council with their recommendations on the way forward.
For them, they are saying that they served notices and they brought copies of those notices to the Director of Physical Planning. So it wasn't their work to stop the investor from construction. So instead, when the building collapsed, KCCA through its Directorate of HR just signed interdiction stopping them from there. Yet for them, they are saying that they are not operating during that period of time because of COVID, and most of the trucks that they always use were being used by the Ministry of Health. So there was no way how them could go on that side to stop the owner of the building from constructing.
In world news, Facebook and Twitter's chief executives have been challenged over their handling of the U.S. election in their latest appearance before the U.S. Senate. Democrats questioned whether steps taken to flag that President Trump's claims of election fraud were disputed had gone far enough. Republican members of the Judicial Committee asked whether the tech firms should be taking such action at all. This was the second time the CEOs had been cross-examined in 3 weeks. They were previously questioned by the Senate Commerce Committee last month in what was a more rowdy event. Once again, the issue of law known as Section 230 loomed large. It says the platforms, that's Facebook and Twitter, are generally not responsible for illegal or offensive things users post on them. President-elect Biden had suggested the regulation should be revoked since it encourages the spread of falsehoods, and several of the Democratic senators at the latest hearing followed his lead. In sports news, Manchester City forward Ferran Torres scored his first career hat-trick as Spain inflicted Germany's heaviest competitive defeat and joined France in their 4-team Nations League finals as that game ended in a 6-0 win for Spain against Germany. And that's the latest XFM News.
XFM News on point.